Hi, Holly. Nice to be talking with you.
Hi, John.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Holly. Like you said, I am born and raised in Maine, 23 years old. I had several imbalances that I myself didn't consider imbalances, but I knew, I just wasn't really in a healthy state. And, I had been raised on a typical standard American diet. And then, I found that that just wasn't conducive towards the lifestyle that I wanted to live. And just started taking a more holistic approach to it. And here we are.
Uh-huh. So you're enrolled in one of our programs, right?
Yes, the fundamentals of Ayurveda. It's a 750-hour course.
Yeah, and so that's our 2-year program to become an Ayurveda health counselor. So what made you start get started in Ayurveda, get interested in Ayurveda, and consider taking the program?
Yeah, certainly. So, I had a very, very bad eating disorder. It nearly took my life several times, hospitalization after hospitalization. And, eventually when I started to restabilize, I came to the conclusion that I needed education in order to properly nourish myself. What I had been doing had led me to very, very dark and deep places. And I needed to dig myself out of that hole. And I needed to learn how. So, I started looking into just nutritional schools around me, and I just couldn't correlate with any of just the standard food pyramid that each person is supposed to follow. It wasn't individualized at all, and I knew that some of my imbalances, those were personal. I'm not it's not a one size fits all. And I started looking into just holistic programs online, and I came across Joyful Belly. And, I really had no idea what Ayurveda was when I found the Joyful Belly site. It was just the nutritional aspect to it that I found just so helpful on that site. And then I realized that there was a course, and, I thought that was perfect, what I needed.
Great, great. So has it helped? I mean, do you feel better now that you've been using Ayurveda? And of course, you've gone very deeply into Ayurveda over the last 2 years. Has it helped you?
Everything from physically to mentally to spiritually has developed into something that I couldn't even have imagined when I started this course. I remember some of the first weeks I kept thinking to myself, like, what have I gotten myself into? Because I had no idea really what Ayurveda was. And 2 years later, and much commitment and much changes, I feel alive again. I have passion for life. I have knowledge for how to keep myself healthy, and it feels so good to be able to share this with others, considering it's helped me.
And is that part of your vision to share this with other people after you graduate?
Absolutely. That I know that especially eating disorders, it's an epidemic in this culture
It
almost.
is.
And even if they're not considered eating disorders, everybody's got just some sort of just dietary imbalance, I find. And this medicine, which is so accessible to people, it's not these foreign pharmaceuticals that you'll have to pay an arm and a leg for. And it's spices in your cabinet. It's just tuning into what's going on in your body. And to be able to share that with folks who are like me, don't necessarily have many resources in order to heal, but this medicine, it's versatile for everyone. And just setting up, whether it's a workshop or I've been working with some clients just on their personal imbalances, just to share this information.
Yeah, it is exciting to be able to bring it to the public. And one thing I think um, that's especially helpful for people with eating disorders is Ayurveda's very affectionate approach to food and to the body. It's very kind,
Yeah.
and I think that makes it a great often makes it a great solution for people with eating disorders. So what was life like as a student in the program?
So it was interesting. This was my first approach to online school, so I was definitely new to this whole style of learning. It was challenging at first, just because you kind of have to be your own motivator to some extent. You have to be the one who says, "Sit down and do your homework now." It's not like you have a class and class time to do all this. So as far as it definitely took about a couple weeks before I realized that, okay, I should develop a system here, and developing that system and making it almost as regimented as a typical school in-person school is. That's what I found really helpful, was just creating a routine around it and making sure that this is when I have my classwork. And as far as the just the online aspect of it goes, one fear of mine was just I'm not gonna I'm gonna be alone, and I think Joyful Belly, I've never done another online school, but I know Joyful Belly does such a fabulous job of just having this connective feeling between the other students and the other teachers, despite having never, been face to face with them physically.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And yeah, with an online school, you get a lot of freedom and flexibility, which I think makes it possible for people to go to school who wouldn't otherwise be able to. But then with that comes that responsibility, and that person has to design a good system, a good routine, and it really does take the students a few weeks. And every year when we run our programs, when people hit about week 2, week 3 in the program, they're like, I can't do this. And
that was me.
yeah. And then like by week 6, they're like, okay, I can do this,
Yeah,
but it's still challenging. Did you find the course challenging, or was it, just a cakewalk?
So a little bit of both,
Yeah.
there were aspects to it. And these are all such foreign concepts when you're first learning Ayurveda. So just wrapping your head around some of these things, it's like, okay, this is going to take a while, but just having patience and knowing that, Ayurveda, you can't wake up and just live Ayurvedically. It'll, one, not only shock your body, but it's just not possible. So just having patience with myself and knowing that over time, this Ayurvedic knowledge, it'll settle in and it'll start to resonate a little bit more. And I think integrating, the information that I learned, such as, the gunas, for example, just having examples that are given in the lectures, in the classes, about just the gunas that are around us and how we can familiarize ourselves with these newer concepts by relating to concepts that we already know. That's what really helped, just integrating this information into our everyday life. Yeah,
there's something extraordinarily simple about Ayurveda, and I think that's the reason why it's hard for people at first. They get into it and they're like, oh, that is just a different way of looking at things, but it's so simple. When I was a student, it was the same thing. I felt like my brain was going to blow up, and it wasn't, it had nothing to do with my teachers. It had everything to do with Ayurveda. It's a paradigm shift. And so I'd come home and my brain felt like mush after classes. And I would just like try to like rejuvenate enough before the next class. And then I'm like, oh, and then I hit with another ton of bricks. But that kind of intensity really only lasts about 3 months, 4 months. After that period, it like clicks in, and then when it clicks in, it's like bam, bam, bam. You just keep on going with it, and I guess that's just the hardest part with Ayurveda is getting started.
Right. Just wrapping your head around these newer concepts. Learning something new is never easy, especially where it's a whole other lifestyle. East versus West is such a different just form of life, and it is just a matter of repetition, you know, 2, 3 months, like you said, and then you're just like, I got this, I have
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
and it all just it comes together, and then the next thing you know, you're seeing these changes that you've been implementing, and it
yeah.
all just it winds up being so worth it, and then some.
Yeah, and then you realize that, in the beginning it seems very exotic in a way, Ayurveda, and then you start to realize that you can really familiarize with it and use it in a very integrative way. That it can just easily fit into our culture. But that takes a little bit of time. You have to get through the beginning before you realize, oh no, I can just live my life pretty simply and pretty close to the way I lived it before, but I just have to like tweak these areas right over here and right over there. And Ayurveda brings that to light, and then you make those changes. And then, like somehow you feel a lot better, but things don't feel that different from before in the
Yeah,
end. And that
absolutely.
was, that's surprising to me, because I thought I was getting into something really exotic when I started. And then I was like, oh no, this is just life. This is real life,
Right. And it's almost like that exotic feeling that we're feeling is just lack of awareness, you know. So
Yeah.
so Ayurveda, where it gives us this awareness of what the body needs, why the body needs it, when the body needs it. Um, Learning those things is it's that at that moment where it's like, okay, this isn't so foreign. This is, you know, just my life, but now I have, you know, more of an idea of what I'm doing and why, you know.
Yeah. So how do you envision sharing all this after, after the program is over? Are you going to offer Ayurveda to the public?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something, you know, considering how transforming it's been for me, I would feel unjust if I were to not share this information. There's so many different avenues that can be approached as far as studying goes. You know, there are students in my class who are, you know, cooking Ayurvedic meals for people. Some of the things I've been working on is just working with some of the local yoga studios in order to formulate workshops. You know, yoga as the sister science of Ayurveda seems to be thriving in Western culture right now. So I think that's a good place to start. It's just, you know, targeting the folks who are interested in yoga and exposing them to Ayurveda as well, because oftentimes they're equally as interested in Ayurveda as they are yoga. Other things I've been working on is just formulating workshops at, you know, a local co-op that's pretty close to me, just as far, you know, just donation based to try to you know, I'm very eager to just start sharing this information. It's not so much that I want to get something out of it, but it's just, I look around and I see so much that, you know, just Ayurvedic philosophy could help. And that's really what I'm focusing on. And then, of course, you know, just working individually with clients on their own imbalances as well.
Yeah. Now, do you feel like the course has, well prepared you for that? And, is this a course that you would recommend to others?
Without a doubt, absolutely. You know, from everything from the legality of Ayurveda to the fundamentals of just the knowledge of Ayurveda to, you know, how to integrate this information for people who you know, who are just like me, starting, you know, right off the boat without anything that they have to prove. And you know, this course is certainly a commitment. I found myself you know, giving up time for other things that I was very passionate and committed to in order to further myself into this course. I don't think it should be overlooked how much of a commitment this course is, because Ayurveda is not, you know, it's not like you can figure out this equation and then just, you know, that's it. It's revamping of a lifestyle. It's you know, finding out what works for you, and that takes work. The answers for this aren't in a book. It's one thing said many times throughout the course is that Ayurveda is experimental medicine, and this course does such a wonderful way of helping you with these experiments so that you can just learn, how to properly care for yourself and others.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, experimenting with how food affects you, with how herbs affect you, so that you can determine like what's a good fit for your body, and
Right.
even that search, doing that search in an intelligent way, so that you're starting off with things that really are likely to have a material benefit, material effect on your health, so that
Right.
you're not just shooting in the dark. that's
Right.
uh that's what Ayurveda offers. It's like it kind of
Yeah.
zooms in on the area that is probably going to be the best for you, and then you may have to do a little bit of exploring.
Yeah. And one beautiful thing, you mentioned the experimenting with just food and herbs. So learning, how those impact our body. It was interesting to learn it about myself, but then as well with all the other students in the course, to learn how it affects them differently than it affects me. That was eye opening. It's
Oh yeah.
helpful to just understand how, everything in Ayurveda is, it's not going to impact the same way in two different people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and
just
that's why it
knowing
takes a
that,
practitioner. It's because it's not
right,
just about the theory, but a practitioner, a person who has studied it as you have, and can see things from several different angles. That really helps the clients who are just trying to apply the theory point blank and may not know how to, some of the nuances.
yeah. So everything, from the case studies to learning, how to develop a business with this new knowledge to once again just learning the fundamentals of this course. I
Yeah.
feel as if I've gotten what a typical school would give me and then some. So it's by far one of the best decisions I've made for not only my personal health but my future.
Great. Now, is there anything that you would say is unique about this course as opposed to, say, any other Ayurveda course?
Once again, just the connection, I can't emphasize that enough. It's just feeling as if, I feel more connected to some of the students that I've been working, that, have been working alongside myself for the past 2 years than I feel more connected, with my roommates, for example. Just the connectivity of, just not feeling alone here. That was so, so important for me because, in my, at least where I live, studying Ayurveda online is one thing, but then I go outside and there's nothing Ayurvedic, offered or any of that. So
Mm.
just having that community, it was so, so powerful for me.
Yeah. Now, do you what for a prospective student that may be watching or trying to learn from your experience, what kind of words of wisdom can you offer them, to that give them that little, help once they get started? Is there any little tip as a person who's experienced it, that you could give them?
So the curiosity is going to be there. You're going to, especially in today's society, we're going to want that immediate gratification of just having something change. But that's not the way Ayurveda works. That's not the way the body works. So just patience and persistence. Just keep trying and eventually you'll learn what works for your body. It's not a wake up and, oh, this herb just totally changed my life. It's a lot of digging. It's a lot of just uncovering of just what the past has kind of diluted our knowledge to, and just knowing that with persistence, the benefits of Ayurveda will absolutely settle in.
Well, thanks. I'm sure that's very helpful for those who are listening to hear about your experience, to hear your tips for them getting started in the program. I really appreciate Holly, your willingness to share with everybody.
Yeah, I can't emphasize it enough, and it's an honor just to be able to share this information. So if anything, I thank you.
Well, thanks. Thanks again.